I'm going to teach you how to make my healthy rolled meatloaf. We're going to start with a couple of pounds of beef, and I'm going to just drop that right into my stand mixer because we're going to make this easy peasy. A large, finely chopped onion, about a cup of minced carrots. Yes, minced carrots. You know me, a pound of produce per person per day. So I'm always trying to sneak veggies into every single dish. Now, it was really easy for me to mince these because what I did is I just got some already grated carrots from my produce section, and I just tossed them right into my food processor, and I just whisk them around, and they get these teeny tiny little pieces, just absolutely minuscule minced. Perfect for my meatloaf. I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of minced garlic. You can add more or less depending on your own personal preference. I am a big garlic lover, so a lot goes into my meatloaf. This is about a tablespoon of Catanzaro herbs. That's an herb mix that I got at Savory Spice, and it's kind of like an Italian herb mix. It has a little bit of lemon peel, orange peel, some garlic, marjoram, basil. It's just absolutely delicious. But you can use any herb mix that's your favorite. Now this is my Cabernet sauce. It is my answer to Worcestershire sauce. Now I'm just going to give that a little spin around the bowl. I'm going to go ahead and lock down my dough blade and just get that started stirring around. Now, I've got here hidden under my red peppers 1 egg. I'm just going to give it a little crack and whisk this up. Just give it a little bit of a whisk, just so I don't have egg yolk pieces running through my meatloaf. And that's going to go into my bowl. Just 1 egg for 2 pounds of grass-fed ground beef. You don't really need that much because you've got that other liquid. I'm just going to mix that egg through a little bit. As a binder, I have something a little different. I am not using breadcrumbs. I'm using blended oats. So what are those? I just took regular old quick oats and I blended them up in the blender to get them kind of like a breadcrumb consistency. So I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle those in. Now my meatloaf mixture is ready. It's that simple. No salt added because my Cabernet sauce has a little bit of saltiness. It also has a little bit of kick, so I don't even need any pepper. Now let's get started on my filling for my meatloaf. That's comprised of 2 red peppers and a whole pound of frozen spinach that I've let thaw, and I'm just kind of draining it. And there's a whole bunch of water in the bottom of this bowl, but we're actually going to dry it out even more, and I'll show you how in just a second. Let's get started first by cutting up our peppers. I'm going to show you 2 methods with 2 different peppers here. The first one, I'm just going to cut the pepper crosswise like this, and then cut around the stem. You've got 1/2, not too many seeds in there, and cut the other side around the stem, and there comes the core. Just dump it right in the garbage. Now you can just take your pepper half and tap it over your garbage can, and all of your seeds will come right out. Now I'm going to cut these into quarters so I can get the rest of this little piece of core out. And I'm just going to run my knife right along it there, get rid of that, and get rid of some of this white pithy stuff. That's kind of tough and bitter and not too flavorful. And I'm just going to cut it into strips, and then I'm going to just give it a little bit of a mince. Just give it a little bit of a chop. And we're going to do that with the other 4 quarters as well. For my second pepper, I'm going to show you a totally different method of getting rid of the core. I'm just going to run my knife down the side of the pepper, kind of in quarters. Just like that. And then I'm going to cut off the bottom too. And there you have the core. Simple as that. I use both of these methods interchangeably. I like them both. Now I'm just going to pop that into a prep bowl to keep myself nice and organized. Now let's work on the spinach. We've got our spinach draining. I'm going to use a good old kitchen towel and I'm going to open it up. And I'm using an old one here. I mean, use an old one. I've got one that has a little hole here. I've done this a dozen times in it. You just want to not use your pretty white linens or anything like that for this, because this kitchen towel is going to turn bright green. Roll that up in my kitchen towel and pick it up over my bowl and start to twist like crazy, like I'm making a candy, a big candy. Now look at all of that water that is coming out of that kitchen towel. Just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. This is the reason you go to the gym, so you can squeeze all the water out of your spinach. You want to get it really, really dry. I'm going to twist the other way now, because the wetter that it is, the harder it will be for your meatloaf to hold together. Looks like I just about got it thoroughly dry. One more good squeeze for good measure. Now, I'm going to get rid of my bowl, and I'm just going to set this spinach aside. Now I'm just going to grab my aluminum foil. This is going to be how we roll the meatloaf, about 20 inches long or so. And I'm going to tear off a second piece, and you're going to see why. About the same length. I'm going to create a seam here. Just by folding it twice. Just a double fold there, and then I'm going to open it up. That's going to give me lots of space to play with. Now, on the inside, since I don't like cooking on tin, I'm going to lay down a piece of parchment. Now, if you have trouble getting it uncurled, just crunch it a little bit. And it'll start to really lay flat and do what you want it to do. Now's the fun part. We get to play with our meatloaf. Just going to remove the blade, get rid of that, and bring my bowl close to my work surface. Now, it just looks absolutely wonderful in there, and I can smell my Cabernet sauce and the onions and the garlic. It just smells great. We're going to start by just putting a few pieces out on the parchment. What we're going to be doing is creating kind of a little carpet here. Now, I'm getting it sort of rectangular. I've got still some more meat. And you want to get it as even a thickness as you can. So feel around, really play with the meat. There we have it. Nice big rectangle of deliciously flavored beef. Now here comes the spinach. I'm going to carefully unwrap that, and it's just going to look like kind of a sculpture because all of that liquid is gone. You're just going to start sprinkling it out over your meat, inch, all the way around, a little border of meat, so I can easily close up my roll, and you're going to see how great this turns out. As you can see, I'm not completely covering it. There are going to be little spots in between, but you're not going to see that once it's all rolled. Now for the peppers. I'm just going to take my pepper chunks and spread them right on top. And you see, now that I have the peppers going, as I go, I'm going to pat down and kind of squish it right into the meat. This is going to look so pretty when it's all cooked. Just like that. Perfect. Now, here comes the fun part. We are going to roll this up, and we're going to seal it on the ends, and it's going to bake like that. And it's going to make a pretty swirl right in the middle. And this is how we do it. Lift up your tin foil with the parchment and just give it a little tug towards your body. Give it a little bit of a push away. You want to start your swirl. Now, if you've ever rolled a burrito or you've rolled a sushi roll, this will be really easy for you. Just keep pulling, and you can see, peek in there, see what's happening. That's what's happening. It's rolling. Just pull it right down to the ground, right down to your board rather. Keep rolling and just pull it towards you a little bit each time you roll. And that way you'll maintain control. See, it's all rolled. So I'm just going to, just like a cigar, give it a nice little massage. I'm going to take the ends and just curl them under. Just like that. A nice roll. There you have it. And on it goes. I'm just going to pop this into a preheated 375-degree oven for an hour and a half, or until the meat thermometer reaches 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that I've got the meatloaf in the oven, let's get started with my spicy tomato sauce. I've got about 4 pounds of organic tomatoes here, and we're going to chop them all up and puree them in the food processor, and that is going to be the start of the tomato sauce. I'm just going to pull them all out of this bowl. I'm going to use it again for all of my chopped tomatoes. I'm going to just cut around the stem and remove it and just give it a gruff chop. No big deal, just a couple of big chunks. I'm going to do that with every single one. Down to my last tomato. Now, we're just going to pop these right into the food processor. We might actually have to do 2 batches. There are so many. And give it a quick whisk. Okay, let's add a few more. And the last little bit, see if we can fit it in there. I'm just going to tap the top a little bit so I can get all the little extra pieces of tomato off the top. Now the tricky part. We're going to go ahead and pour it right back into the bowl. I'm going to put my finger in the center to hold down this blade so it doesn't go plop into the bowl. Pouring away from myself. There we go. Now I've preheated my pan over about medium-high heat, and I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil. Use a really nice olive oil for this because you want that delicious flavor. Give it a little swirl. I'm going to start with about 2 medium onions. Just get those moving around the pan. I'm going to add about a cup of minced carrots. I did these the same way that I did the carrots for the meatloaf mixture. You want to get your carrots and your onions just a little bit opaque. Get the cooking process started. And you're going to notice a wonderful aroma beginning in your kitchen. Now I'm going to add about a tablespoon of minced garlic. I add that last because garlic has a tendency to burn. And when it does, it gets really, really bitter. So I don't want that to happen. So we add it at the last moment of the saute. Now I'm going to add my tomato sauce. I'm going to pour slowly and away from myself. Gorgeous red color. Let me just carefully stir the onions and the garlic and the carrots throughout. Now here comes some secret ingredients. About a half a cup of white wine, and get this one, a half a cup of cream sherry. Now that is just going to marry with the sweetness of those tomatoes and bring it to life. Just stir that in. We're going to use a little salt, about a half a teaspoon, and 20 grindings of black pepper. I'm going to use about a half a teaspoon, maybe a little more, of piment d'espelette. Now you can use any kind of pepper that you like. You can use chipotle, you can even put some chopped jalapeno in here if you like things really hot. This is just my personal preference. It's just perfect for the kind of heat that I like. Now I've taken my meatloaf off of my broiler pan and put it on a serving platter, and I've got my tomato sauce right next to me on my work surface. So I'm going to now start carefully unwrapping my roll because it's still quite warm. Just going to start at the bottom. Just unpeel that, and you can see that there's steam coming off of it. And I am going to just give it a roll away from myself and just take your tin foil and toss it right away. Give my hands a little wipe off here. Now I'm going to slice it right down the middle, being very careful because it's so hot. And you can just see all of those beautiful vegetables right in the middle. Just like that. And place it right against my sweet potato puree. And you can see all of those colors working together. Now, just a little bit of spicy tomato sauce. And if this person's a big guy, you might want to give him one more tiny little piece. Now that is a healthy, comfort food meal the Nina Cucina way.